Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Shomler. This is the Flawed Humans Podcast, Episode 2. And joining me is my dad, Stephen Shomler.
Oh my goodness.
Blowing out my ears. It's hard for me. The intro is going to be like forever hard because I want to say strong opinion sports. And I want to do my stupid little strong opinion sports catchphrase thing. That, oh my goodness. And I can't do either of them on this show.
I love the oh my goodness. And you're going to probably have some strong opinion sports gear coming out in February or March.
Yep.
And I would love to have an oh my goodness shirt.
Here's the debate. Is it going to say oh my and then oh, and then my, like a bunch of Y's and then goodness? Or like I think that's the way to do it, right? Is a bunch of Y's. Oh, my.
For those that don't know, for my fans that maybe haven't listened to Strong Opinion Sports that tuned into this podcast because I'm on it, let's give us an oh my goodness.
I can't.
Come on.
Okay, I go. Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon. It's fun. Like
it makes me smile and laugh and happy every time.
People call it cringy, but to me, like it actually, like I'll be in a really bad frame of mind. The minute I do that, it gets me out of it. It makes me excited and ready to go. It clears up your throat. It just makes me ready to record. It helps me, and I think it's fun for the audience. For some people hate it, but fuck them. I don't know. Hey,
I came up with because of you. You inspired me to have an opener for my Spark to Bonfire channel.
Well, what I hate is when people go, "Hey guys," it's like I don't. That's so unoriginal and awful. It's boring. Like I wanted something that was me, and that's me.
So I came up. So my current format for Spark to Bonfire is I have the title. Let's see, what's the one I just recorded? Learn to enjoy your life right now. 5 life-changing words.
Oh, you like hit him with like the cold open, like the scary,
And then, I got to start over now. You messed up my rhythm. The record has skipped the needle.
God.
That's a story for another time. Let's not go there.
You know, I have a video recorded telling that story. I've never put it out, but I have it on video somewhere, and it's literally archived on my YouTube channel, unpublished. Should I release it? I think it's interesting.
It's hilarious, yeah.
Crazy old man.
Okay, so enjoy your life right now. 5 life-changing words. I'm Stephen Shomler. Welcome to Spark to Bonfire. I'm ready. You ready? Let's do this thing.
Yeah, like I'm ready. Are you ready? Like that your new way of doing it?
Yeah, and it's fun, and I love it, and it just makes me laugh. But I may come up with a better one later. But you're right, because it makes me laugh and happy. It's like
you have to do something that not only gets is unique, but also like helps you get ready to record. Like it puts me in a good frame of mind to do. Oh my goodness! And I know fuck the people that hate it. I don't care. If you don't like the full podcast, listen to the breakouts. There's like 40 breakouts from every episode. If you want to just get those, you can. But if you can't handle 30 seconds of me
that's the one thing I don't like about the breakouts is I don't get my oh my goodness.
Yeah, and you don't even. That's the thing is I don't think you listen to really the full show ever. I think you only listen to like the breakouts.
Breakouts, correct.
But you miss out every time.
Sometimes I go listen to the beginning of one just to get my dose of oh my goodness. It's like a vitamin. You gotta have it. I take my vitamin D now, which is not as bad as it sounds for your generation. It's an actual vitamin. It's a different thing. Come on now. And then my B complex, and then I get my oh my goodness, and I'm set.
You know, I was doing the Baker Mayfield video the other day. I was talking about emotional maturity, and I was talking about the Peter Principle, and I was like, and the Peter Principle was written in a book called The Peter Principle by Lawrence J. Peter in 1969. And I looked at the camera and I was like, you know the significance of that number, and it's just so like funny the contrast to me talking about emotional maturity than making a 69 joke. I was like, oh God, I felt so guilty.
Okay, so Flawed Human Podcast Episode 2. What's our first topic?
I really.
Although, oh my goodness should be the first topic. We can do an oh my goodness breakout. Are you going to do breakouts on this one?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Fantastic.
That's the thing. Before we get into it, part of the show is we have an outline of things to talk about, but we also got to let ourselves just naturally go and be ourselves. And one of the things that I hate about YouTube podcasts is that people don't understand well enough that breakouts are a huge deal. They matter. They're important. To have little segments that you put out that are 2 minutes to 4 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes, like I wish more podcasts that I listen to did that, so I could just find the certain topics I want rather than sift through all the bullshit. Because some things, look, some people like everything I say. I know there are people that don't want to hear all hour and a half of me talking, and I'd have no problem with that. Go find the topics you want, and I wish every podcast did that.
Or maybe they really like a certain team, and they want to, whenever you talk about their team or their
care
quarterback
about me, they just want to hear my opinion on the Florida Gators or whatever.
Yep.
And I just think, because I'm a consumer of podcasts, I think that's what makes me a good podcaster. Is I've been a fan, I've been on the other side of it, and I know what I want, and I don't want just a 45 minutes to an hour long podcast. I want to be able to pick and choose. And so the more options you give the consumer, the better it is. And I wish more people did that.
Okay, so that oh my goodness was topic 1. What's topic 2?
I think, so for me, first of all, I want to start by saying thank you so much. You know, I woke up this morning in a funk. I don't think depressed is the right word. I'm just struggling. Like I've been on and off. Like there are days that are harder than others. There's a song called Waves by Dean Lewis where he talks about it comes and goes in waves. For me, it's like there are waves of great happiness and there are waves of great sadness for me recently. And I woke up and I was having a hard time and I just said, hey, the door's unlocked. I'm taking a shower. You walked into my place and you came you had the smile on your face, which is really helpful to me. You gave me a hug and then you made me coffee, which is awesome. You brought donuts, you brought spaghetti and chili. We'll make, Skyline chili later. To me, like...
We'll make an adequate version of Skyline chili.
We won't really do it justice. We'll do our own crappy version. But for me, I just want to say, like, it was so... it was nice to have someone come into my house and care. It was like, it was really nice to have my dad come and take care of me a little bit, give me coffee and give me a hug.
So what's your funk about? What? And did you have nightmares last night?
Yeah, I did. I had horrible nightmares. There's this thing I'm dealing with. I'm ready to get on with it, and it's been really a frustration to me. My girlfriend broke up with me about December 6th, about a month ago. And it's sick that I know the date like so easily. She was my best friend, and it was 5 years of my life, and I thought I was going to marry her. And so it made sense to me that I was a mess for a while. Like it really did. I was like, okay, I get it. Like, of course I'm going to be grieving. Of course I'm going to be really struggling. Like it was a dramatic, ending to something. But I'm at the point where I'm ready to get on with it, and it won't go away. It just keeps coming back. It keeps bothering me. I'll wake up every once in a while and just like I feel like I can't get out of bed, and it's like it won't leave me alone. And
okay, so we need to clarify some things.
Sure,
for listeners. So you didn't date your girlfriend for 5 years.
No. I think that the key was I was in the friend zone for like 5 years.
And you didn't want to be.
No, and I wanted to be dating her for a long time, and so for me it was a long journey of wanting this thing, and I finally got it. And then it left.
And you weren't just in the friend zone for 5 years, if I understand correctly. You were longing for her and hoping for her, and in your head, sometimes waiting for her. Now, she didn't necessarily know when that was going on. That's not on her at all. That's on you.
No.
But when you have that kind of hope and expectation and that longing, what does it say in the good book? Hope deferred maketh the heart grow sick. And you had 5 years of deferred hope, and then victory. You got out of the friend zone. You started dating. I remember seeing when you talked about it on Strong Opinion Sports, people would comment on your YouTube comments that Zach's the king. He got out of the friend zone. They were so excited for you, and you gave hope to all of mankind to escape the friend zone.
Yeah.
So it was not 5 years of dating her, but 5 years of longing and hope and desire, and maybe. And then you finally started dating her, and then the relationship ended. Is it possible, just maybe, that you're grieving?
Yeah, absolutely. But I just don't want to be anymore. Like, I think that's the key. Like, and well, stop laughing at me. It's hard. Like because here's the thing. And I wanted I'm so glad we started with this because I wanted my dad's advice on this because I feel like I start every episode of Strong Opinion Sports recently with like, hey, I'm still struggling. I'm sorry it's taken me a couple days to make this episode. Like I keep apologizing for it. And I just want it to be done. I want to just get on with it.
Okay, so you want to be done grieving.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's something I used to teach back in my nonprofit days.
I think you're going to make fun of me. I don't like this.
In the words of Mrs. Doubtfire, brace yourself, Effie. People in Baptist hell want ice water. And they're not getting that. So you're not getting... I had an old boss years ago, Pat Martin, on Patrick's Carpet on Martin Way in Olympia, Washington. And I'd go in and ask him a question and say, can we do this? And he goes, Stephen, people in Baptist hell want ice water. And first time I said, what does that mean? He says, they're not getting that, and you're not getting what you'd asked for. Now go away. And then he'd laugh, and then often he'd say yes, but he always like kind of jerking my chain a little bit. Yeah. He actually go off on tangent. He helped me significantly. I don't know if it's this episode. Next episode, we're going to talk about where you get your value, and we've got to talk about Patrick Martin and the trick he played on me and how it shaped my life in therapy later.
Well, here's what we can do then. We'll tease that because I want to. What I learned in this whole process of this breakup, and we won't get into it today, but we'll just tease it. It's the topic coming ahead. Is that I realized how much I struggle with. And when Zane died, for example, it was liberating. I was like, I'm done with this, and I was freed to like say, "Fuck everybody! I'm making a YouTube channel and do whatever I want."
When Zane died, you were liberated because you quit worrying about the thoughts of others.
Yes,
to be very, very clear about that. Zane was not a burden to you.
No.
Zane did not chain you.
I just said I don't care what other people think anymore.
That's one of the shifts that happened to your heart. Is fuck all you
I'm
all.
I'm sad. My brother died. Fuck everybody else. Like I'm just gonna take care of me.
Yeah, in my head to this day, I still like Zane's dead. Fuck you. I don't have time for your bullshit. I literally say that in my head, and some people I can't say that out loud loud because I think I'm somehow speaking against Zane, but it's like a big thing shifted. Okay, but you're grieving, so you said, go ahead.
But well, I just want to say that one thing that I've really struggled with in this breakup, and we should talk about it in the future, is that I learned and I relearned this thing that your sense of self-worth shouldn't come from the approval of others. And it's been, as the breakup happened, and then now I'm on YouTube, and it's like, suddenly comments mean more to me. Suddenly, like, for some reason, like, I made videos for 2.5 years, 4 or 5 years, like, didn't care what anybody thought of it. For some reason now it's harder. And for some reason now, I think the rejection, the breakup, all of it has just been, we just got to talk about it someday. And I think it's a much longer topic I don't want to get into today. But at some point we got to talk about the idea that your sense of self-worth shouldn't come from the approval of others.
So you had at least a 5-6 year journey. How long did you actually date your girlfriend?
Like 6 months.
6 months, yeah. But for you, it's like 5-6 year journey. And now you're grieving. And now you just want the grieving to end.
Yeah.
So I recently heard on a podcast, someone told the story. They said that grieving is like going to the bathroom.
Who could that have been?
Yeah, and where did they learn that? So was that you? Who was that on your podcast?
I learned that from you. The thing you always said growing up, you said grieving is like going to the bathroom. It happens when nature calls. When it's time, you got to do it.
You got to do it when you got to do it.
And if you don't go to the bathroom when it's time, bad things happen.
Yep. And now that I'm old, I think I'm done, and then I got to do it some more. And so you may want to be done, but you're done when you're done. It's like going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're done when you're done. You're not done grieving. So you're just going to have to let the grieving process work itself out. I think today we're going to talk about the creative process, but there's a grieving process where you're going to have to let it out. And the grief is going to come like waves. It's going to come and go. And if you stuff it and don't cry and don't embrace it, it's going to get stuck in there and create misery for you. You're just going to have to keep grieving. There's no way around it. Well, there's no healthy way around it.
Yeah. What is the healthy way to do it? Just grieve when it happens?
Just grieve when it happens. Yeah. Did I ever tell you about how I grieved your grandma passing?
No. Which is funny because we have had many conversations. We just never went that direction.
Yeah. So, your brother, my youngest, was born August 2000.
Yep.
Grandma moved in with us March of 2000. So emotionally, I had my grandma as someone to care for longer than I had my youngest.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. And when she first moved in with us, she'd walk around and she'd drink her coffee, make her coffee, and microwave in the microwave, and make her Eggo waffles in the toaster. And at the very end, the last year or so, I was her complete caregiver. And like, oh my gosh, if you told me when I was a little kid eating, French toast at her thing that I'd be changing her Depends, oh my God.
Don't foreshadow that to me. Don't put that on me, Dad. You're gonna die alone in a nursing home.
I know. It's like, dang, Zane died. He was the only one that would have taken me in, but neither you and your brother. I'm just going to be cast out of the woods like some ancient tribal experience.
Go die in a hole, Stephen.
But so then she died in 2007, and I knew about crying. I'd taught grieving, and I was, in the nonprofit world, and I was ready for that. And she passed away, and this is the hard thing. When you're caring for someone that's had ongoing, it's a lingering illness or cancer or whatever, part of what happens is you feel relief because all of that work is gone, and then you feel guilty, you feel relieved, and now I don't feel guilty anymore when those kind of things happen. I just accept it. It is a relief, and it's relief and sadness, and it's not wrong to feel the relief.
She was both your grandma and also to some degree an emotional weight as well.
Yeah, and worry and concern and hard work and effort, and
seeing someone you care about struggle is painful and difficult to watch.
Yep. And I loved. I cared for her, but it was a relief, and I knew I'm not crying yet. What's going on? I need to cry. And that was fall. She passed away, and I thought, well, I'll cry when I'm ready, just like I go to the bathroom when I'm ready. I knew that was our analogy was in my head. When I do it, I'll do it. And growing up, my grandma loved Harlequin romance novels. She had rows, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them in her bedroom, as tall as she was. And they're only like this tall, these books, and then like many, many shelves high and hundreds of them. And I just felt sad for her. My grandfather was a terrible human being and literally called her dummy and had affairs on her all the time. And I think she just wanted to be loved and cherished. I don't think she ever felt that. So she escaped into romance novels. And her favorite romance novel when she was living with us, author, was Debbie McComber. So I'd go to the Alberts on 122nd and Division. I remember used to be an Albertsons there, and I'd go into the little end cap, and they had romance novels on the end cap, and I'd look for a new Debbie McComber novel. And even if it was a re-release, she didn't know. She was happy to get a new Debbie McComber novel. So I'd always go in, and the women look at me like I'm nuts. What are you doing buying this romance? And I'd buy her one. So she passes away in the fall, gets toward Christmas. I go into Albertsons. I got my cart. I'm shopping, getting some things, for dinner. And I'll go see if there's a Debbie McComber romance novel for my grandma. I walk over. I find one. There's a new one. It's a Christmas theme. I go, oh, she'll love it. I reach for it to grab it off the rack. And as I touch it, it hits me. My grandma's gone. She's gone. I'm never going to be able to take her this. And I just started crying right then. And I go, wow, this is how it happens, because that's what triggered me. It's important to know that there's triggers to these grieving things. So I literally pushed my cart to the side and I went out and got in the minivan and I just started crying and wailing and making horrible noises, because I knew that's okay. Sometimes there's that ugly cry where you're just making such horrible noises, you scare yourself. And if you're really, really grieving, maybe for the first 2 or 3 times of a tragic loss, you can't even get on the bed. You're just on the floor and it's terrible. And I wanted to buy snotbubbles.com, but some idiot owned it because you are you're crying so hard snot bubbles are coming out your nose.
Yeah.
So instead,
Ugly cry.
I bought that uglycry.com instead. There's that ugly cry, and I was doing that, and it was the first time I'd really grieved, and then I hit my head on the steering wheel and then hit the horn and scared the crap out of myself and cried a little more. Said, okay, I'm done. And I went back in, and it was such a dysfunctional store. My cart was still there in the corner. So I went and got my cart and finished my shopping. And so I was triggered.
Yeah.
And so you get triggered for these things.
Man, one of the hardest parts is that she was really passionate about music. That was her thing. And we had all these songs together, like 5 years worth of music. So now all the music I listened to for the last 5 years is painful to listen to. I'm like trying, like Dean Lewis has been a guy I've found recently. Like I'm finding new music, but I can't listen to the old music. I can't even, my favorite artist, John Bellion, still is painful and hard to listen to. And that just breaks my, like I want to listen to John Bellion, I just can't get myself to do it yet.
But hang in there with it.
Yeah.
So Zane loved to watch the Arrowverse. He and I watched Arrow together. Yeah. We watched Flash together. He loved Legends of Tomorrow because I knew all the characters and we could joke about things and talk about things. And the night he died, when I left the house, I said, when I get back, Zane, we'll watch Legends of Tomorrow. It's recording right now. It was a Monday night. And I said, love you. And he said, love you. And I could never watch that episode. But eventually I got back to watching it, and this year they have Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was a big crossover of all the shows. And when I was a kid, that was a huge, big deal in a comic book, and I'm so glad now I can enjoy that show now, and I've healed enough that I can still enjoy, wow, I get to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths on TV, the comic book I read in the 80s. So hang in there. Eventually, John Bellion will be there for you when you're ready. Yeah. Eventually things will shift.
I just think that's one of the things I had no idea would come. Like, I think no one tells you that when you break up with someone, music gets hard. That's not the thing that you think of first. You're like, music is just
music
awful.
Attached to that relationship gets hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it will be whenever you have a loss, there'll be things you're not aware of that are connected to that loss, that when you encounter those things, it's a trigger, and it triggers your grief. And if you enter into it, eventually those things, it becomes not as a big a trigger, and that maybe you become more wistful instead of just, blubbering. But the challenge is people it's painful, so they step away from it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to lean into those things, particularly when it's grieving, so that you can bawl and you can cry. Thursday, I had lunch with a high school friend of mine, Patsy Sherman.
You know, it's cool because I heard of Patsy before. I saw that picture and I was like, I know, but I've heard stories about her. That's really cool.
Yeah, in high school, we had Powder Puff football, and a couple years ago, I got to coach the Powder Puff football team. And so there's two guys each. A guy would coach team, another guy would coach the other team, and all the girls, we'd coach them in football. And I was so excited. I had 2 members-only jackets, a white one and a black one, and I wore the white one to coach. And Patsy was just a dominant, amazing player on the Powder Puff, and she was a cheerleader in my high school and a volleyball player. And years later, I find her on Facebook, and tragically, she lost her son just before Thanksgiving. And I was able to walk her through that, and we talked, and we had lunch Thursday at Holman's, a restaurant here in Portland, and the things that trigger her. And I had to talk to her about triggers, and I talked about holidays being triggers. What's going to be harder for you? Yeah. Your son's birthday or the anniversary of his passing? Because for me, Zane's birthday isn't as painful as the anniversary of his passing. Whereas like for your mom and your brother, I think it's both, or maybe the birthday's even more painful. So I had to talk to her about dates and which dates come back will be hard for her. And then she'd hit her that probably Father's Day is going to be really hard for her because her husband lost his son, and that's going to trigger grieving for her on Father's Day. And so it's important to be aware that there are triggers, but when you start crying and you start grieving, what should you do? Lean into it. And that's how you get through it. And I'm sorry, I really wish your grieving was over, but 5 years, 6 years, that's a big loss. You had a lot of hope and stuff wrapped up into that.
I was close with her family. I miss her family, which is weird and like painful to say, but her dad and I were close. It was fun.
Yeah, and so you just got a lot of loss, and eventually you will do it. One advice is eventually, when Zane passed, I did a lot of posting on social media, and then I realized that I was not only bumming myself out, but I was bumming out my fans and my friends, but I still needed to tell the story, so I started a Facebook page. a grief expressed instead of a grief observed. C.S. Lewis wrote a book called A Grief Observed, and I put up a grief expressed so I could, and it's like, this is where sad shit goes about grieving the loss of my son. It's called A Father's Grieving Journey, and I put all that stuff there. So if you want a grieving sadness, that's where you went, and I kind of tapered it down from putting it out on my main
That's what I'm
main
realizing
content.
is on my social media, I think I'm getting it's wearing thin now. Like I need to stop saying on Strong Opinion Sports. I need to stop sharing on my Instagram story. It's just wearing thin. People are like ready for me to get on, and I'm ready to get on too.
But maybe this is a place where you can occasionally in this podcast check in, and it's just a short segment where you kind of give an update, and eventually by summer or fall or maybe spring, I don't know what the time frame is, but not by February, I don't think.
Yeah.
You'll move through it, and then there is a place I can express it, because the thing about grieving is we do need to express it. We have to express what's going on with our journey. I just express it on a grieving platform I made.
Yeah. It's really funny. I think it's hilarious. I really struggle. I want to be done with it, right? I want to be done with the grieving process. And the root of that is that I struggle with patience, just period. I have a hard time. I get impatient. A great example of this is when I upload Strong Opinion Sports. And I'm like, it takes 3 hours. Like it is what it is. But for that 3 hours, I'm like on edge. Like, oh, why can't it hurry up? Why can't it go faster? It's like, I need to just accept it and not be so impatient. Or like I'll have an idea for a video. Like I got a Jameis Winston film analysis video coming. I'm so excited about it, but it's going to take a long time to make that video. And I got to just accept that that's how it is. And just instead of being impatient about it and being, and like tight and frustrated, just accept like, oh no, it's going to take me like 2 weeks longer than I want to make that video. And it's going to be frustrating and painful, but it doesn't have to be if I just accept it rather than fighting it. And I'm just learning patience and how much I struggle with it.
I think learning patience is really a big thing, and I know someday, not today, we'll do a religion whole segment topic with you, which would be a lot of fun because you
need a whole show about religion.
Yeah, you have crabbiness about religion, so I've been gathering my thoughts and getting ready for it. But one of the things that is not true, and I want people to know this, it is not true. I heard for years in Christian circles, don't pray for patience because then God is going to fuck you over and put you in situations you have to be patient. That is not true. God is not a jerk. That's not true. You don't just ask for patience and then get put into miserable situations. What happens is when you start deciding to learn to become patient, it's an awareness issue, and you start become more aware of all the times you're impatient. So it's not that the situations get worse, it's that you become aware of all the times you're impatient.
It's nothing about how the videos aren't going to upload faster. The ideas aren't going to happen quicker. It's me accepting it and my emotional state of mind related to those situations.
Well, I just made a video and I talked about 3 videos actually, one on Stephen Shomler, 2 on Spark to Bonfire related to enjoying life. And one of the ways you learn to enjoy life is it's a perspective you shift to. So I saw a bumper sticker that you reminded me of in the 80s that fits this. Reality is for people that can't handle their drugs. And you need to accept the reality of certain things. Things take time. So it's a perspective you shift to. And then the other thing is it's a skill you need to learn. You can learn the skill of enjoying life, and you can learn the skill of being patient. It's not beyond you. And by the way, so the way I would summarize that, I like to kind of give names and handles of things.
Yeah.
And so I started out with, I love looking up definitions of things and defining things, and that's really helpful for people. Like, here's how I define it. Let's agree this is what it means. Because sometimes words have different meanings, different people, and they get tripped up on them. So I started out with dictionary.com, which I absolutely love. But that didn't quite have the meaning I wanted for what I wanted to teach you for this patience thing. So then I went to the next best thing, which is UrbanDictionary.com.
Oh boy.
And and Netflix and chill is a little different meaning. Some people can look up what Urban Dictionary says about Netflix and chill. So I think what you need to do is you need to learn to chill. And I love what it says on. Let me get it here on.
When you Google when you Urban Dictionary the word chill.
Yes, exactly. To calm down, to be easygoing. And as much as I like what it says on Dictionary.com, this is actually better. I think we're going to talk about bitter. Wait till we get to that. I'm excited for what UrbanDictionary.com says about bitter. But Urban Dictionary, you just need to calm down. But to telling you need to do it, you have to learn how to chill. Just chill out. It's like, okay, get some zen.
It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to learn how to do the skill of having the peace of mind. This video is going to take longer than it's going to take a while. And this is going to take time. It's going to take 4 hours to upload. It's going to, whatever it is, accepting it and having peace about it rather than being anxious and uptight about it.
Time takes time.
Yeah. Let's talk about the creative process.
Okay.
Because I think they're so similar, The creative process is a slow one. It just always is. I said on the beginning of my show the other day on Strong Man in Sports, I said that the creative process is slow. It's painfully slow. And it's even slower when you are emotionally drained. I know you have thoughts about the creative process. What are yours?
Well, I did I just recorded for the Stephen Shomler YouTube channel. I'm so excited. I now have 22 subscribers. I'm so excited. Only
like 120,000 left to go to catch me.
Only 4 subscribers on the Spark to Bonfire channel. Because on the Stephen Shomler channel, I put my personal story.
Yeah.
And then Spark to Bonfire is my life change content.
It's hard to grow 1, let alone 3 or 4, however many you have.
I just have 2. I like growing a lot of different things. But anyways.
But here's the thing, though. It's an investment, right? It just takes patience, and eventually all those little things will grow enough that they all do their own thing.
Yeah, I used to have a garden as a kid, and I'd plant carrots, and I'd plant zucchinis and cherry tomatoes, and I had cherry trees and fig trees and apricot trees, and all those different things I did eventually get a crop of, and so much fun to have all that, a bounty, a cornucopia of produce, if you will.
Well, growth takes time. I mean, I think Strong Opinion Sports is the prime example, right? I made over 1,000 videos before I ever got I had some followers, and those first couple thousand people, I love you forever. You're one of the coolest people I've ever met. I'm fucking so grateful. But it wasn't really until I had 1,000 videos that anyone started to care, that there was a real significant exponential growth with the channel.
So
it takes time.
You asked about the creative process. So I just did a video, my 2020 goals for my personal journey. And in there, I have 4 words that to me are either my true north words or my North Star words.
Why do you call them that?
Because true north, it's kind of if you're on a compass and you want to head north, you need to know where true north is and know where you're at, kind of orient yourself.
So they're like your guiding principles?
My guiding words for this year. And whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm at in my life, I need to then, think of those 4 words and which one of those 4 words do I need right now? Yeah. And one of those 4 words is rest. Because I'm going to have to take a day off. If I want to do a tremendous amount, they're huge goals. I want to get a lot of creative content put out this year. Yeah. And one of the things I've learned, I think 900 times from you this past year in 2019.
Because I don't learn the stinking lesson.
You'd say on Instagram, oh my gosh, I rested and I feel so much better and I have creative energy. I guess I've learned I need to rest. And then a week later, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I can't create. I got to take a nap. Oh, I feel so rested. I just learned that if I rest, I feel better. Yeah. And for me, the creative process, I need to allow time for it to happen. I have to write my scripts and then wait a day or 2 and then record them, film them, because I have to let them kind of just marinate and et cetera. And the other thing I have to be is well rested. And the only way that I can be well rested is to rest. And so one of my 4 words this year, as much as I don't like it, is rest. And I'm literally probably going to have to take a day off a week, which is crazy, like resting, not pursuing vitality pursuits, not doing errands, but actually resting. But if I'm not well rested, it won't happen. And I have to be well rested to actually master the creative process. That's a really important thing.
I always fight it. And I think one of the best things that came out of my breakup recently is it forced me to focus on myself, and I couldn't put work ahead of anything else. I had to put myself first. And it made me go, when I'm not me, when I'm not 100%, I can't be me on video. I can't record. If I don't have emotional energy, I can't record Strong Opinion Sports. I can't do it. It just is not. I got to be myself. I got to be rested and I think a lot of people, because I have a hard time not comparing myself to other people. And I know other broadcasters, record 5 days a week and do all this other stuff. And it's like, but they have a team of people helping them write. I am the sole creator. I do all the thought process. I watch all the film myself. I edit all the clips myself. I do all of it myself. And so my workload is like 3 times as much as another person who sits down for CBS Sports and talks into a microphone. I'm not the broadcaster on television, and I don't want to be. But I also got to understand that I can't compare myself to them because my workload is significantly greater than theirs.
Have you ever had microwaved pizza?
Yeah.
Have you had pizza that's made right there, like brick oven pizza, and they make it, and about 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, they bring it out to you?
Yeah.
Which one's better?
The long oven cooked pizza that took a longer time.
I love some just cheap microwave pizza. I have no problem with it.
Like Totino's or whatever.
Yeah, but you just throw it in the oven for 8 minutes or 6 minutes. But it's better good things take time, and some things take longer than others. But bread, when you make bread, you have to let it rise. Sometimes you have to punch it down and let it rise again. Beer takes time to ferment, and you just have to accept that time takes time, and everything has its different rhythm. But you just have to accept that in the creative process, it just takes time to do it. And then the crappy thing is, and particularly for people, anyone out there building a brand or building a business, once you get all that work done, you put it out in the world. Okay, it's out in the world, and then here's the thing: you have to accept. You reap in a different season than you sow. And so many people don't get that. And like with you, you reaped in a different year than you sowed. Same with me.
Yeah.
When I was building my brand and my profession.
You can put out content forever, and it takes a while before people even notice or care.
Yeah, reap in a different season than you sow. So yeah, creative process. You're going to rest more this year, is that right?
Yeah.
And you're going to accept that it takes time to be creative.
Yeah. Well, I think the best example of me learning to rest is last night, right? I wanted to record a show last night, but I'm like, you know what? It's New Year's Eve. I'm not going to work on New Year's Eve. I'm going to hang out. My friend came over, we watched a movie, went to your house, had a good time. Like, I took the night off, and that was huge and super important. And I think you were telling me the other day the two most important things. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the two things that are important to you that I've learned, and I think it's one thing to say it. I have to take it to heart and learn it. But now that I have a rule I need a little word or a catchphrase that helps me remember things and helps me take them to heart.
Yep.
But the two most important things you need for the creative process, your words, not mine, but I think I'm going to learn them. You need rest and you need time.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
Yep, you need rest and time. And you can just say rest and time and make that your catchphrase that it takes rest and time.
Yep.
And am I rested and am I allowing for the time? How many minutes is in an hour?
60.
And so how many minutes do you have to wait for an hour's up?
60.
60, but we want time to go faster than it goes, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Accepting that. I want to talk about this idea of, I don't know where to go with this, but I've been learning that I don't like bitterness. I'm ready to just get on with it. Like this whole thing, like it's one thing we've been talking about patience a lot, but I know that I really struggle with hanging on to the past. Like, and I watch this quarterback, Baker Mayfield, in the NFL. I see so many parallels between him and I where he's had rejection and been overlooked, and it's hard for him. And I've been rejected and had, people overlook me. And I had this high school coach that didn't want me to play quarterback for him. And that pissed me off and fired me up. And it motivated me for years until that flame died and didn't matter anymore. And then I had a college coach who didn't believe in me and didn't want me. And I had a girlfriend reject me. And there's all these, like, rejection hurts, but I don't want to hang on to it anymore. I want to just let the bitterness go. And I don't want to be bitter about the past. I want to just accept that, hey, that was a chapter in my life. And really, like, the coach rejecting me in high school, the coach rejecting me in college, the girlfriend, like, all those experiences make me a better person. And I've learned tremendous lessons from them, and accepting that actually they were good, the struggle was good, and not hanging on to the bitterness is going to be, it's something I've really worked hard to accept and hard to do. And I wanted to share that and just have a discussion about that because I've been really working hard to let go of bitterness from the past.
Well, you're conflating two things I don't think need to be conflated. Losses do not equate to bitterness.
Sure. Okay.
You can have losses and grieve them and not be bitter.
Yeah.
It's quite possible. And you're going to have challenges in your life, whether it's something that a challenge can either be a loss or it can be something that's causing you to think in a different way than you ever thought before. And those challenges are going to make you either bitter or better. And it takes time because maybe you have to work through the bitterness to get to the betterness.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen. And so you told me we might talk about being bitter. And so I looked it up in dictionary.com.
UrbanDictionary.com.
I've started at dictionary.com.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it was okay. But then I thought, what the heck? This is one of Zach's crazy podcasts. I can go to Urban Dictionary. And here's right at the top, bitter. To be perpetually pissed off.
Yeah.
And if you're pissed off, in my head, that means you're kind of angry.
Yeah.
And what is the primary emotion? Anger is a secondary emotion. What's the primary emotion beneath anger?
Sadness and pain.
Sadness and hurt. And often it's easier, instead of grieving and leaning into our loss, it's easier to get pissed off and just be angry. And then you hold that close to you at night to keep you warm. And then that kind of grows into bitterness.
And I think bitter is just no longer a thing I want to motivate me anymore. And it's really interesting. I did a talk about Baker Mayfield the other day. I said the topic's called Baker Mayfield's Bitter. And I talked about how the story you tell yourself really matters. When I was in a college dorm room, literally getting made fun of by people, it was easy to say, fuck you, I don't care, I'm going to make my Strong Opinion Sports channel, do my thing. But now that I have over 100,000 subscribers, I have my own place, I have this incredible room to record in, that story that I'm overlooked and that nobody cares about me, nobody believes in me, doesn't work anymore. I had to learn to tell myself a new story. And so when I got in this place for like a week, I couldn't do any work because the story in my head didn't line up anymore, and I felt like a loser. It was so weird. And so I have had to tell myself a new story and move forward. I don't know why I got on this topic, but I just remember the parallel between me and Baker Mayfield. It's like he's clearly hanging on to stuff. I don't want to hang on to that stuff anymore. I want to learn and tell myself a new story.
And you can be motivated without being motivated by saying fuck you to the people that didn't believe in you.
It doesn't need to have anger behind it.
It doesn't. Now, it feels good. You know, my sweetheart, she says I have a chip on my shoulder, and sometimes...
It's vindicating.
Yeah, because like, fuck you. You told me I'd never be a published author. No fucking way. I am. So fuck all you all. I mean, I have that kind of in there, but it's better to let it go. And it's a better way to live to not be bitter.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be bitter, you got to figure out why you're bitter. And usually there's some anger. Under the anger is some sadness. And then there's some losses you have to grieve. I hear a common theme among all of these things that make you bitter. I hear someone not believing you and rejection, someone not believing you and rejection, someone not believing you and rejection. Is it possible that rejection is a trigger for you?
Absolutely. I have I think I have kind of a sick attraction to rejection. When I get rejected, I go, because here's what happened, right? In high school, my coach overlooked me, and I said, fuck that guy. I'm going to prove him wrong. And I went to a different high school, and everything for 2 years was about proving that coach wrong.
The old coach at the other high school.
Yes, the old, and I was like, in the weight room, on the football field, everything was about, F that guy, he's wrong. I made the playoffs. I went to college and played quarterback. He was fucking wrong. And so for me, it was like, and then what's funny though is the minute I got to college, this whole journey for 2 years was about proving that coach wrong. The minute I got to college, that flame died and burned out because I was like, I'm no longer motivated by that guy. I proved him wrong already, and I lost all my motivation. That's exactly what happened when my freshman year of college playing quarterback. My thing that motivated me for 2 years no longer worked, and I didn't have the skills at that time to understand that or to deal with that or to figure out to find a new motivation. It just didn't work anymore.
So why is rejection such a trigger for you?
Oh, man. I mean, do you really want to? It's just painful. It's we can. How honest do you want me to be about it? Because
That's up to you.
You know, man, I don't think it's caring to go there.
Okay, but you've dealt with some rejection.
I had deep rejection early in my life,
and you have that's a wound in you.
Yeah.
Yep. So my dad taught me early on that to work really hard, I'd never be good enough, and that I'd never get the work done, and that became a wound. That every time I encountered a similar situation, it hurt me even worse because that's where the heartache could get in. It's kind of like an open window to your heart. The pain comes right in through that open window. And
I think I'm going to say it. I think it is like my brain is to be open and honest, and I think that.
And how you felt and what you happened doesn't mean you can't have a different thing now.
Yeah, and I'm working on it. And I've talked on Even Strong Opinion Sports before about my relationship with my mom has been a really painful one for a long time, and I didn't feel loved by my mom.
And you felt rejected by her.
Yeah, and so I think that really, when I got rejected by my ex-girlfriend especially, it was like...
It triggered all that.
It's the same feeling I had as a child when I felt like my mom didn't love me.
So maybe, crazy idea, maybe you could go to a counselor and you could talk about your heartache related to your mom so that the next time you experience rejection, it can be not your mom rejecting you all over again, not feeling unloved and unwanted by your mom, but just that situation. And you can decouple those.
Yeah.
Because
it won't be as triggering.
Yeah, and then the counselor, a good counselor, when you do lots of journaling, do you have any journals, any books you could write in?
I have like 40. I'm going to cut you off first, though. I remember It's funny how I didn't put two and two together that way until I'm glad we had this conversation. It's even crazier and cooler we're filming it because other people can learn from it too. But that it's not feeling love; it's feeling unappreciated and not wanted. I could not believe at my last college that my coach didn't want me, didn't believe in me. He chose another guy. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You chose that quarterback instead of me? You." And I just felt like, how can you not see what I bring to the table? How can you not appreciate my leadership, who I am, my attitude, my work ethic, my abilities literally throwing the football? I was like, how? And it just felt so painful that he not only didn't want me, but he wanted this other guy instead. Are you fucking kidding me? That's why I left. That's really the rejection was like, I'm not dealing with this. Fuck this.
And that was the deep wound.
Yeah. I was like, you can't see what I have?
Well, and the other thing, just on the practical side, you may never play college football. Yeah. But one of the benefits of leaving when you did is you saved 3 years of eligibility.
Yeah, if I ever wanted to play now, I still can.
And part of what
I would have burned eligibility if I'd stayed.
You say burned a whole year of eligibility.
Yeah.
And at that point in your journey, back in fall of 2019, you were thinking, wow, if I'm going to go to a school, I'd rather be able to say to them,
I have 3 years of eligibility.
I can be here for 3 years and invest in, and I'm not saying that's what you're going to do, but that was your thinking at that moment is, I have this incredible turmoil and pain and rejection and being unwanted. And why would you, I'll come back to that in a second, but you had that. And then you had the ability to think, hey, I'm better off for another team if I have 3 years eligibility.
Yeah, it was both.
But why would you stay at a place where you're not wanted?
You shouldn't. Nobody should. It doesn't make sense. That's what this is not a sports podcast, but I see this coach Jerry, the owner of the Cowboys is Jerry Jones, and their head coach is Jason Garrett, and it's like everyone's waiting in limbo for them to fire Jason Garrett. I don't know why Jason Garrett's staying. He's clearly not wanted, and when you're not wanted by someone, it's better to just go find someone who wants you.
Well, even worse, he's not succeeding.
Yeah.
I like Jason Garrett as a person.
He seems like a good man.
Seems like a great guy, but he's not succeeding, and he's just staying. It's not going to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, Einstein, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. He's not going to succeed. But back to it, I had the sense that you weren't wanted by that coach.
Yeah, I did too.
The coach told you, I didn't recruit you in the summer. Yeah. I mean, I didn't in the summer. The coach told you, I didn't recruit you. I recruited the other 2 guys.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
He literally said, I didn't recruit you. I recruited these 2 guys. That's why they're ahead of you on the depth chart.
And so why would you stay in a place where the person making the decisions about who's going to be quarterback when you want to be a quarterback doesn't want you? Why would you do that?
You wouldn't, and you wouldn't burn eligibility. It was multifaceted, right? It doesn't make sense to stay here with someone who doesn't believe in me, because I remember the pain of chasing my ex-girlfriend, right, for 5 years. It's not fun to be chasing the approval of somebody else who just doesn't want you. It's not a fulfilling, and I now that I think about it that way, like, I knew from that experience with that girl that the experience with that coach was not going to, I could have stayed and maybe waited for guys to get hurt or waited for him to like finally want me, but he didn't want me. And to not see that was like, I'm done.
You would have been the person he had to turn to when other people got hurt, not the person he wanted. And you wanted, right, wrong, or indifferent.
I wanted to be wanted.
You wanted to be a place where you wanted. And if someone may say that's stupid, but that's what you were at. You wanted to be where you wanted. You wanted to be a place that wanted you. Yeah. That guy didn't want you.
And so I left to save eligibility to go, if I ever find a school that does want me, I have 3 years of eligibility rather than 2. I saved a year of eligibility. I saved a lot of heartache. It was the right move for me to leave.
And then the third thing that kind of comes up that I remember is I got a lot of calls from you during, whatever they call that in August, practice and stuff. And
fall training camp.
Things went certain ways, certain days, and then pretty soon things went downhill a lot. And you'd call me, after practice, and we'd process stuff.
And this doesn't make the things I'm being told and what's happening don't add up.
And it started to be like there is a philosophy of how to handle quarterbacks that didn't match yours. And I'm not saying that philosophy is right or wrong.
Yeah,
but you're pretty opinionated about quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about with quarterbacks
and how to handle them, and the way that philosophy wasn't a fit with yours. And if that's a bad fit there, that also is another reason for why would you stay where it's a bad fit with that philosophy. I'm not saying that person's philosophy does or doesn't work. Time will tell.
We'll see in 5 years.
We'll see in 5 years.
Philosophy of working with quarterbacks and running an offense works.
Yeah, and great, and I hope it does, because I love that school, and I love that program, and I love that head coach. What an incredible human being, the head coach.
I think that's really the hard part of being rejection, right? Is when you're with a girl, you're like, this girl's awesome, and she doesn't want me. That's painful. And when you're at a school that academics works, you love the head coach, you love your teammates. There's all these things you love, and yet you're still not wanted by this one person that you're rejected by. It's like, it feels like an incredibly painful missed opportunity.
Well, it was difficult for me because at WSU,
my old college,
old college, the professors mocked you and said you would never make money on YouTube.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah, I'm not, and I knew right away. Okay, I'm not going to stay at Washington State because the professors in the communication college told me I couldn't make money on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a terrible communication. In my opinion,
awful.
Having built a brand, if you want to build a brand or seed in communications, do not go currently to WSU. Well, they don't know what they're doing. They have old equipment. I don't like it. I've seen some of the things they do to those kids, and it pulls my hair out.
Here's what they teach you. They teach you how to work in local news. If you don't want to work in local news, it's not for you. There's only one avenue that's good for you there. It's only if you want to work for Billings, Montana, local news station. Otherwise, don't go to that school.
Yeah, but maybe they should hire someone to teach kids how to build a good brand. Because like some of those
kids, they don't
kids,
care about that. They want to teach people how to be employees rather than.
But some of your classmates from back then, I'd look at their Instagram and go, "Oh my gosh, how come no one's told them how their Instagram is hurting their brand?" Anyways, that's a tangent. But then, so I had a heartache there.
So that old college didn't want me. It was like,
not only that.
It was a bad fit academically.
But then you had a bug professor. You had to take some, for reasons I don't understand, a class about bugs, whatever. Fine. And you actually told me you were excited to learn about bugs. And I was curious. What the hell happened to you? Who pickled your brain? Bugs. Okay, whatever. But then you'd have to listen to the professor spend a half hour talking about nonsense, right?
Yeah, like I like science. One of my favorite classes of all time is environmental science. I also love astronomy. I love learning about the world, and I really wanted to learn, okay, let's learn about these unique bugs, and there's facts, and I can memorize things, and I was so excited for all that, and we never got that. We'd have an hour-and-a-half lecture and talk for an hour about random bullshit that was not related to bugs at all, and it drove me nuts to sit in class.
Didn't he talked about his dog?
He talked about his fucking dog, and I was like, dude, I am sitting here in class when I want to work on strong opinion sports in my dorm room, and this is not a good use of my time at all. This hour out of an hour-and-a-half lecture is just wasted, and perpetually frustrated me.
Yeah, and at one time at WSU, and I'm getting lead you to something, you had to do a program where start a business. You're like, well, I have a business. And like, oh, can't use that one. But then you get to the school you recently left, and the professors you loved, the classes you loved, the things you were teaching and learning actually applied in the real world. Their communications program kicked ass and was on target and perceptive, and they got it. And they knew that YouTube was a thing, and it was such a joy to me to hear you actually loving learning.
I was excited about my classes because my professor said, we like what you're doing. We don't want to get in your way. We want to help you build your YouTube channel rather than not believing in you. They encouraged it.
And shitting on you and saying you'll never succeed and et cetera. And you just have a blog.
Yeah. They clearly...
Which is what they said at WSU.
Can I say the name of the school?
No, I don't want to.
Okay. But
I don't know why.
The professors of that school were great. My most recent school.
Yeah, and the big stuff was amazing. I mean, the learning stuff and the programs. And I was so excited. So for me, it was hard when, we have a good fit almost everywhere, but in this one situation, you're not wanted.
There's this one guy that doesn't want me.
And that's the primary reason you were there, right, wrong, or different.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why we left. So I think we were talking about bitterness.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's okay, though. That's this show. It's a starting point to lead into other things. But I think maybe the main point is that I clearly struggle with holding on to all that anger and all that pain. And I don't want to be mad at the professors at Washington State. I don't want to be mad at the professors and not that coach from that old college. I don't want to be mad at my old high school coach.
You don't want to have bitterness toward that old coach.
Yeah, I'm ready to be just done with it.
So here's a question, and we haven't rehearsed this, so it's a little bit dangerous to ask.
Go ahead. I don't...
Karen says ask leading questions, but oh well.
Don't worry about her. She's
a
hater.
Oh my God.
Your wife's a hater. She's not. She's a wonderful human.
She is a tremendous
We
help.
have a podcast together. I have a podcast with your wife.
Anyways, do you think the coach didn't want you as a bad guy?
No, I think he means well.
No, I don't think he's a bad guy.
Hate him.
I don't think he's a bad guy at all. Neither one of us think he's a bad guy. I think we see the world differently.
Yeah.
And we have different perspectives on certain topics. And you're not convinced that his perspective on certain topics will produce the kind of fruit that he might want.
No.
But we'll see. But we're not saying he's a bad guy.
Yeah. And I don't want to live my life for the next 40 years hating him.
With bitterness.
I just don't want to be that way.
So the way that you deal with that, anyone watching, the way you deal with bitterness is you get to the heartache that beneath it. You have beneath the bitterness is anger, beneath the anger is heartache, and you lean into it and grieve it.
Yeah.
And then in your case, you have some sensitivity because you have an unhealed, unaddressed wound from your childhood that you still haven't healed. And have you ever had a thorn in your foot?
Yeah.
You've been walking around metaphorically with a thorn in your foot
for like
since
15 years.
Yeah, and you need to go get that thorn removed, and because it's going to hinder you. Every time you enter a tough situation, you're going to have the wound of the present and the wound of the past. It's like a double punch. Every time you get one punch, it's a double punch.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think that the huge takeaway from this, if you're listening, is that you're not just mad. The root of anger is pain and sadness. And it takes more, it's easy to be angry. It takes more work to dig into what hurt made me angry. Because if you're angry, it's usually just because you're not dealing with the pain and the sadness you really have. And again, I can't say it enough. It takes work. I've done tremendous journaling, tremendous having conversations with people, trying to get the root of why am I mad about this? Why and what's the root of the anger? What sadness caused the anger? Because the anger is me avoiding rather than dealing.
But a lot of people don't even have those questions. Those are important questions. If you find yourself bitter or you find yourself angry, to know, if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, just know that ask yourself, why do I have this bitterness? Why do I have this anger? What's the heartache beneath it? And now you're onto something. And then for some situations, you need, if you're listening to this podcast, to go see a counselor to get some help.
Yeah. I think, look, we have a couple more things we could talk about, but I think we can save them for another day. We've had we've had a great conversation. And I think we should just talk about the 20s because we could talk. We have other topics like hope and do you actually want things and self-worth.
I think we've reached a closure point.
Yeah, and it's just also like it's a heavy podcast. Yep. So let's not shift gears to your topic, which is you came into my house chipper, ready to go, all sing-songing and happy about this crazy thing. Tell me about the 20s.
So it just has blown my mind for like a week now. Today, as we're recording on January 1st, 2020. And for a week now, it's kind of blown my mind that, oh my gosh, we're going to be entering the 20s. Now, on one hand, it's great to have a decade with an actual good name. I love the 80s. They are the best decade ever, the best music and the best fashion in the history of the galaxy.
How crazy, by the way, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but that in the 2020 season, we're going to have Wonder Woman in the 80s. Yeah! I can't wait to go see that with you. We're going to have so much fun.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. Maybe we'll take Diana Prince.
Hell yeah.
So we had the 80s and 90s, and I never hear good names to the next 2 decades that we've been living in. What do they call, like the aughts or the knots? I don't know what the heck. And then no one even refers to the last decade with a name that I hear. But these will be the 20s.
Yeah.
So that's fun. But even more fun for me, in high school, I studied, history. And one of the big projects I had was studying the Roaring 20s and had to write a report. Now, I also studied, World War I. I studied the Great Depression, in the 30s. I studied World War II. But for whatever reason, the 20s stuck in my head. And it never in a million years occurred to me in high school that I would live in the 20s. It's like blowing my mind. It's like Prince. Prince, you've heard the song, We're Gonna Party Like It's 1999? You know who Prince is, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank God. Okay.
You didn't fail me.
And that song came out. Guess what grade I was in when that song came out?
I have no idea.
1982, I was in 7th grade when that song came out.
You were in middle school in the 80s?
Yeah.
Damn. That's
I
awesome.
graduated high school in 87.
What is it like to watch Stranger Things where it's like, that's your childhood captured on television?
Oh, it's so incredibly awesome. I cannot tell you. It's so awesome. But I graduated in 87.
Yeah.
But 82 is when Party Like It's 1999. So all through my high school, that song's on the radio the whole time. And then when we hit to 1999, I was like, oh my gosh, it's 1999. It's going to be 2000. But this is even bigger because it never occurred to me when I'm in high school that I'm going to live through the 20s. It's like that was so long ago. And here we are in the 20s. And I'm excited because part of the reason I'm excited is I feel like this is going to be my best decade ever.
Yeah, I agree, actually, 100%.
I have, and so many times I was talking to, my sweetheart last night, so many times in the past, New Year's Eve, you do a toast and I'm hoping for better. And it's like, I've worked hard and I hope things get better. Whereas now I just have such a deep peace that things are better and they're just going to keep getting better. And not that I won't have heartache, not that I don't have losses, not that I'm going to need to not work.
There's going to be struggle on the way.
Yeah, because that's the deal, man. You're going to have thorns in the football, thorns in the garden. We should make that a topic sometime.
Yeah.
That's a very important topic. A lesson I taught you that's helped you a lot and helped me. I taught it myself. But it's just so nice. I have such a different sense. And so I'm so excited for the 20s. And man, if you're listening to this podcast or watching this and you don't have a sense that it's going to be your best decade ever, man, go figure that out because there's no reason it can't be. You got 10 years to figure it out.
Well, I think you and me both have tremendous hope. And man, does that feel good to have not only hope, but have a peace that it's okay to have hope. It's safe to have hope. It's going to work out.
Yep.
Like, I can't tell you how good it feels to be like, hey, it's working. It is. And like, it's not just a desire. It's like, it's going to work.
Yep.
It just, damn, it feels good.
It does. I know in my goals for 2020, I talked about how I kind of, part of what's going on for me right now is I call it Bonfire 2022. It's my next 3-year journey. I worked really hard from January 1, 2012. I did a 3-year push, January 1 through January 1, 2012 through January 6, 2015. 3 years and 6 days, ditched the day job. That was a big 3-year push. And I thought, I'll start another one soon. Things happen. I didn't start my 3-year push till way later than I thought, until fall of 2019. But now I'm in the 3-year push and I'm doing things necessary to get to the goals I want. And so I started some really cool fires and got things really moving finally in the last quarter, last 4 months of 2019. And it's like, wow, now I've got, rather than hope to get things are going. Now I just need to throw firewood on those little campfires and grow them into a bonfire. Yeah. And just knowing that you pay the price, live the dream. I have that mug. That is such an incredible feeling.
I think that I'm going to be in my 20s through the 20s, which is kind of like, I mean, the 20s are a cool time in your life.
So what year will you turn 30?
I'll turn 30 in 2027, 28, 27, I think 28.
28.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
I was born in 97.
97, okay.
When I don't want to do math. It's too hard for me. I can't.
Yeah, but either 27 or 20. But through most of the 20s, you'll be in your 20s.
Yeah, and I'm going to turn 30, and that's going to be crazy and like weird. Like I'm going to be 30. Like me, Zach Shomler, will be 30 years old. I remember when I was a kid looking forward to being 16. And I always thought, like, when you're 8, you're like, you see the 16-year-old has a leather jacket and a car, and it's a sports car, and then I turned 16, and I was like, oh, I'm just older. Like, nothing changed. And it's kind of funny to like look ahead to. I'm gonna be 30 at some point, and I hopefully I have energy, and I'm just doing what I'm doing, and I really.
So do you want to do some special thing for your 30th birthday?
I don't know. I want to have. Here's what I'd love to do, because I'm an introvert, and I don't like parties with people I don't care about or don't know.
Well, can't we go like on a fun trip or something?
Yeah, hear me out. Let me finish. What sounds amazing to me when I turn 30 is having all my close family friends in a house, whether it's a beach house, or get them all together in a place where I can have conversations with all of them and just enjoy their company. Because I have like 6 friends, and that's all I want. I hate having conversations with people that I'm not close with, and I don't like new people are a lot of work. I don't want to do that. I have Nathan Hawthorne, I have Jared, I have Nathan Piles, I have all these people, Elijah, all these people that I'm incredibly invested in. It sounds really fun to have them come and be in a room with them and just to celebrate. Hey, we're 30 now. Like, let's talk about it and enjoy that.
Well, and a topic we have to make is both of us being introverts, because people just don't understand that. I bought the domain introvertuprising.com. Yeah. I feel sad now for the extroverts, but some people, they don't even know what we're talking about. And the idea that everything you said, for some people, their circuits are frying. They don't understand. And for other people, like, really? You can do that? Because it kind of sounds good to them. But at some point, we got to cover introvert, extrovert, because that is so liberating.
I love the thought of this show. We're never going to run out of topics, because we have ideas. Like the list of ideas is an endless list, right? But we also get to just share, like, some random things going to happen next week I'm going to want to talk about. We can share both the stories and the journey, but we can talk about our journey. So like all the moments, Cincinnati or this or that, or these highlights that are like more recent. And then we can talk about the lessons we're learning and that gigantic list of topics we'll always have. So we just have an endless amount of content here. One of the things that I think sports are a great topic to talk about on the internet, because you're never going to run out of stuff to talk about. There's always sports going on.
Yep.
But I feel similarly with this is, some people that like vlogging on YouTube, for example, you see them, it's a war of escalation, and they run out of creative ideas. Like, we built the biggest thing, we did this, we did that, and they run out of clickbaity titles because they're trying to create their life to be interesting rather than just living their life and telling stories about it. And we're not seeking being interesting, we're just talking about our life. It's just endless.
And either people will watch or they won't. But we're enjoying what we're doing, what we're talking about.
People watch. Like, I think the people that watch somebody is going to like this podcast, but I don't need it to grow. I don't need it to be huge. I have a successful business. I'm good. I'm totally good. And that's really liberating to be able to just create. Like, when I was back in the dorm room, all I wanted to do was to get up in the morning, have no class to go to, no fucking job to go to make stuff. I am in a position now where I can do that. I make money. I'm surviving. I'm good. I got to make Strong Opinion Sports, and that's awesome. But I also have the freedom now. I have the space, the time, the money, and the freedom to make what I want to make. And what I want to make is Strong Opinion Sports. Don't get that wrong. Hell yeah, I love that job. But also, if I want to tinker and do other stuff like this, or a podcast with your wife, I can, and it's okay. I have time and resources to do that.
And at some point, once that podcast is live and out on iTunes, I want to do a segment on this podcast about it, because I think that the two of you are going to help so many freaking people. I am so excited about that.
I really love. Let's tell because her and I talked about you on the podcast a lot.
Oh my goodness!
No, good stuff, and talked about how you were like, because we talked about how you and Karen both encourage each other positively, right? And you encouraged her to do that, and the minute you came up with the idea for that podcast, actually, which is because you're just amazing at naming stuff. But it was like when the minute you and I were like, let's do that. The minute we thought of me and Karen doing a podcast, we're like, fuck yeah, that's a great idea. That dog will hunt. That's great. Like, we got to do that.
So you're gonna quote me, say that dog will hunt. I'll quote you. You're like, let's go.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I think. I literally was like, in the kitchen with you, Karen, and I was like, let's go. This is going to be awesome. Like, because it's, how many 22-year-olds in the freaking planet can say they do a dating podcast with their stepmom? I don't think that's the most unique demographic of all time. Fuck you. Like, there's a joke I want to make about stepmoms that I'm not going to make. But it's just, that's such, and she's married and older, and I'm 22 and single. Like, our our perspectives are so much fun to bounce off each other.
Oh, I can't wait. We'll I promise when it's all out, you guys are gonna have 3 or 4 episodes out, and then we'll talk about it. We'll put links below, but that's not today. That's just a foreshadowing of a good thing coming.
And that's the other thing is like her and I have had that idea. Like that idea's been in development for a long time, and it's taken a while to make it.
Oh, does the creative process take time?
Yeah, fuck yeah. And but it's cool how like you ever play video? You probably don't play video games. In video games, there's a thing called leveling up, where like you make your skills better, and there's a skill tree, and like you get new skills, and your character gets progressively better. And progression is fun in video. It's one of my favorite things in video games, to get progressively better, and there's always a thing to chase, and I love that. But life is the same way. As you go through life, you level up. You have new skills, and you learn more. And I don't think I could have made that podcast without this podcast, like without all the other things. And I had to get to this point of making stuff and creating stuff and being allowed it's okay to do that, and then learning it's okay for it to take time, and learning it's okay to be patient about it.
And speaking of video games, I saw a little thing the other day that I thought of you, and I don't even know if it's true.
Yeah.
But I think, and I haven't even researched this. I saw the thing and didn't look at it. I meant to, but I think Tom Holland, Spider-Man, is going to play the character in the movie for the Uncharted video game.
I think if it ever does get made, I'm not hanging on to it. You know, there's a movie called Sahara. You ever heard of that movie?
Oh yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
That's the Uncharted movie we've never gotten. Like,
but wouldn't Tom Holland be a great Uncharted character?
Hell yeah,
because you loved that video game when you were a kid.
No, I think to save myself from pain, I don't get connected to it.
Got it. Because you want to be disappointed.
Yeah. So what I do know that if anyone ever wants an Uncharted movie, like Nathan Drake, they want that. There's already a movie that exists called Sahara with Matthew McConaughey. That's, if I were to make an Uncharted movie, it'd be very similar to Sahara. It'd be fun, it'd be quirky, and it'd have the guy from The Office who plays Dwight Schrute is in it, and he's fun, and there's great characters, and they go on an adventure together. So if you want an Uncharted movie, go watch Sahara. I'm not gonna let myself get emotionally connected to that Uncharted movie because it seems disappointing. Maybe it'll come out, and that day will be amazing, but I'm not gonna hold out.
Well, I hope they have good casting. Good casting makes such
Tom
a big
Holland
difference.
is great casting.
He would be great in that role. Am I right?
There was a rumor that it was going to be Mark
Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg, and that didn't fit for me. And when I saw Tom Holland,
not that I don't love Mark Wahlberg,
he's
but
awesome.
not for that role.
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody fits every role, and so when I heard that it was Tom Holland, I was like, you know what, that could work. That sounds like equally good an idea as me doing a podcast with Karen. Like, oh, you know what? I don't know if that's going to happen, but damn, that'd be cool.
That's good casting.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've had a wonderful time. I think it's time to bring episode 2 to a close. I'm Stephen Shomler. I believe in the beauty of your dream. As the mug says, go live the life you imagine.
Take care, guys. Love you.